So, as an expert in the field of parenting, as viewed from the place of a non-parent, I can say with confidence that raising children looks really hard. Honestly, I can assert that from the point of view as an adult child of parents, that it's also hard being a kid in a family. Everything a parent does or says has the potential to dramatically impact the child for good or for bad. We all understand that, but what's even more is that people change from the time you have as a kid, uh, sorry, from the time you have a kid as an adult to the time that kid has grown into an adult themselves. Not only are they vastly different people, but you are too. It's these transitions from infancy to childhood to adolescence to early adulthood to middle age that are really difficult for parents to navigate with their children. I imagine it's so complicated having to look at, say, a 49-year-old son and ignore the years of feeding and diapers and hugs and making lunches and teaching him how to write his name. That middle-aged man is still just a little bit an infant. And that child, well, this and for sorry and from the child's point of view, well, this rebellion against mother and or father usually starts early. For me, I didn't really start rebelling against my parents until maybe my late 20s. I get along fine with my family, though it's hard for parents to see you for who you are, to trust your decisions, and to not think you're just an extension of them. They know what's best for you. They know your mind, and it is their mind. True separation, both physical and psychological, is almost impossible. In Robert Eggers' The Witch, William and Catherine try to navigate the treacherous terrain of 17th century adulthood in an unforgiving new world. All the while, they've got a girl who's becoming a woman. And how can you trust that? A few weeks ago, we talked about The Exorcist, another girl in transition facing a demonic possession type situation. But in The Exorcist, we're never allowed to consider whether or not Reagan is in control. The Witch, on the other hand, empowers its teenage protagonist to make a choice, to see the world as it is, to see her parents for who they are, and to determine whether or not she wants to enter adulthood on her own terms. Ask your doctor if growing up is right for you. Hi, Cecil.
Hi, Jeffrey.
What's the biggest rebellious moment you ever had against your parents?
Oh dear. I feel like there was a time that I was out shopping with my mom and she was just taking too long to do something. And I was like, I'm gonna walk home. And she was like, Oh, you want to walk home? Go ahead. And I walked like I don't know, 6 miles back to my house.
Oh my God.
Everything was fine. But it
Uh,
was that moment of like, oh, is that the answer? Oh, okay, we're doing this. We're doing this.
I definitely had a moment of like my stepdad when I was a teenager, like yelling at me because I was in a snotty mood. I'm sure it was not very fun to be around. And he snapped at me, and then I was like, I'm not going. And I ran upstairs to my room and I slammed the door. But it's just like one of those like suburban
Oh,
houses with like the real like foam core door almost. Like it's so hollow and it's just like bam. Like it was no like satisfying thud.
did get that good slam.
No, it's just clank. Cecil, once again, I failed to get us a guest, but I did find us a podcaster, a dear friend, a horror movie liker, a history buff, an author of the brand new novel, The Horses. I got us a Janina Matthewson. Welcome back, Janina.
Hello, it's nice to be back.
I'm glad you're here. Were you a rebellious child, or are you currently a rebellious adult against your family?
I'm so scared of breaking rules. I'm to this day, my greatest fear is getting into trouble. I definitely did slam a few doors, and played Alanis Morissette out loud, even though she says fuck. But I did not
Oh.
seriously rebel in
Mm-mm.
any way ever in my life, which feels like a failing, like a real missed opportunity. But now, because
There's,
now I'm too tired,
It's a
so
rebellion.
yeah,
yeah.
I'm rebelling against rebellion.
that's
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Yeah, being a girly SWAT is the real punk rock choice. Um,
Mommy bootlicker is what it is. I think that's what
Mm.
it is.
the thing is, my
Oh,
mother's very nice, so you can't really. It's very hard to rebel against her.
it
Lovely
sounds
lady.
like it. She
Yeah,
sounds
like good
delightful.
parent. But even with good parents, just like just a little bit, it'd be like, I know everything is great, but just want to push some boundaries, just test some boundaries a little bit. I'm gonna
I
Like
got
she
my
chew
didn't. I
gum with
was
my
scared of
mouth
boundaries.
open. I don't know.
I got my first tattoo in December of this past year, and it's on my arm. And when I was home visiting family a few months back, my mom saw it, saw it underneath the sleeve of my t-shirt, and like grabbed my shirt and lifted it up and just kind of glared at it like, "What have you
Oh,
done?" So it kind of took a second to to be like, it's okay to say that looks really nice. Where did you get it? It's also okay never to grab somebody's shirt to look at their tattoos without asking them first.
that's true. But I feel like it's the same thing about a parent of like, they're like, listen, I changed your diapers when you were a kid.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to, like, your body, my body.
Yeah. I couldn't
Yeah, I'm
stop
gonna
thinking, yeah,
lick my finger and rub dirt off your face still.
Yeah. Yeah.
you got some schmutz.
On you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all have both seen this movie before, right?
Yes, this is my
Yes.
second time.
This is your
Yeah,
second
same.
go through.
Yeah.
This was my first time to see it. We covered The Lighthouse for this show, which I had actually seen in the theaters before we started this podcast. Uh, we've got somebody who is in Robert Eggers really loves him some art house folk horror.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Oh my God. This was a sort of different movie than I thought it was going to be. I wasn't really sure what I was getting into. I don't really know what movie I thought this was going to be. It was a lot more like family oriented. It was a lot more like pioneering than I thought it was going to be, about like the trials and tribs of living in pre like pre almost pre-colonial early colonial
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, deep Puritan really makes you feel the fact that America was settled by people who thought that England was having too much fun.
Yeah. Do you know what the soundtrack was to this movie in my head the entire time I'm watching it?
What's that?
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. Like, really,
Yeah.
it's a bit of an eye opener, this movie, about the founding fathers
Yes.
of our country.
Well, and there's so much of this in early American colonial history too, of just religious disputes, and this movie opens on a very like macro dispute, like just one specific family, but whole sects of people like breaking, like this is how Rhode Island
Yeah.
formed, basically.
Yeah.
It was just over like different types of Puritan people of
Yeah.
just like just like William in this opening scene. Like so much of like American settlements were created by people being like, no, I'm teaching the true gospel, so I will go over here and start my own club. Girls aren't allowed.
Yeah. But what I found really interesting watching it this time as well is that there is this shade of like, yes, there's all sorts of religious schisms happening, but people still want that level of authority, which is kind of ironic
Mhm.
because like we're in deep Protestantism. Like the Puritans are the Protestants who were so Protestant they couldn't deal with the English church, the Church of England. They had to go far away. And yet there is like the whole point of that movement, the whole point of the schism between Catholicism and Protestantism is that you should be able to talk to God yourself. You shouldn't need a priest or a saint to intercede for you because you have a direct relationship yourself. And yet here it's still like the Kate Dickey's bit, the mother, where she talks about how she doesn't like, she prays but she's not, no one is there, like she doesn't have this validation from a religious leader that she still feels she needs, even though that's the whole point of the Reformation, was to get away from that. We can't quite do it, we don't quite believe it is true that we as ordinary mortals can just talk to God.
Well, and it's also really scary when you feel like God isn't responding to you, because then you don't have the intermediary to help talk you through why it sometimes looks like God disappears. Sometimes, the footprints poem is really nice because Jesus actually has a voice in the poem. But like if Jesus isn't there to talk to you, you're just like, well, I guess he fucking bailed. Fuck that guy.
It's just a bunch of footprints.
Yeah.
I
But then
actually
you
thought
also
about-
get into the idea that religion is one of many attempts that we make to try and convince ourselves that we have some sort of control over the world
Yeah.
when
Oh,
we
yeah.
really don't.
Yeah. Or some explanation. God must be testing us, right?
Yeah.
That's why our corn is bad.
Yeah.
That's why the milk is turned to blood from the goat. It's God or the anti-God or something, because it can't just be some unknown sciencey thing that we just don't understand. I found myself wondering especially in this opening scene, I wonder what was William specifically his what caused this schism that they moved away from the colony. You know, like it's like I really tried to pick out the language and it's very vague. And I was like, I wonder what's up with, what was the thing that made him go, peace out?
He does tell the tribunal that is basically has him and his family up in the courtroom. He says, I cannot be judged by false Christians, referring to the other Christians that are doing that. And he basically states that he is preaching the true. He says something to the effect, I didn't write down the full quote, that he's done no crime other than speak the true gospel of Christ. And so it's clearly something about a difference in how you interpret the Bible and how you go about it.
Yeah, and a lack of room for healthy debate and discussion over those things potentially. Like it's our way
Yeah.
or the middle of nowhere.
I think early Massachusetts handled that kind of conversation real well.
They did great job. Great job with it.
I find it interesting when you look at the history of religion, or Christianity mainly, because it's the one I know most about, that it has these seasons of like, oh, everyone is doing their own thing, like the early Christian sects, and then someone steps in and is like, no, this is not okay. We've got to standardize this. And like it happens every so often. You have, first of all, Paul writing his screeds about everyone doing Christianity wrong, and then you have the Nicene Council, and like every so often we go, no, actually it's personal relationships and people should do what they want, and then someone goes, no, actually we've got to have rules and standards. It's just a constant back and forth that we never quite get over, which I find it interesting.
I really got a sense in this movie too from this opening scene, right? So it starts with this tribunal, and we've got William and Catherine, the parents, and then we've got Thomason, the oldest girl, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, who's a teenager, preteen son Caleb, and then they've got the creepy ass Bobbsey twins.
The weirdest twins ever.
Those twins have such bad vibes.
Oh my God, it's not since The Shining. There's actually quite a bit of Shining, like Stanley Kubrick about this movie. The soundtrack, the creepy twins, the like, she's young and pretty, then she's old and creepy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Ness of the witch. Yeah, there's quite a bit of that.
But when they're banned, the tribunal basically is like, this is such a good line. He says, then you shall be banished from this plantation's liberties. Take your leave and trouble us no further. I was like, oh, man. So good.
Burn.
and the gate, the village gate, like this solid wood block is sealed behind them. So they are on their fucking own. And that was where this movie really makes clear about how, or to me, in my head, I was really feeling like how important that religious base is, and how, because it's related 100% to your community. So
what I found interesting about that shot, though, is that like as they're leaving and as the gates are being shut behind them, you see some of the people walking around are Native American. So it's making the point that like even there is a welcoming in this village. There is trade, there is cooperation, and yet this family are being kept outside of it. And that made it feel all the more telling that this is a really brutal rejection or choice to leave, like whatever side made that choice ultimately. It's a really, really extreme.
Yeah, you get the feeling that this family is the extremist of the extremist of the extremist.
Yeah.
If they're like, your Puritan religion is too liberal, we're out the door.
Yeah.
We're going to follow this not a road into the woods and sleep under this tarp until we can get our shit together to, I don't know, build our own cabin.
Yeah. I also got the sense that just beyond the religion part of it, it is William's pride. I mean, he even prays about it late in the movie, about acknowledging the fact that he is too proud to have been able to go back. And, I just was thinking about my own set of interpersonal relationships, and we all have these wherein like you have some people that kind of get it. They can be a little tough to be around, but they sort of get it, and you see them kind of work on themselves and try and at least hear you in conversation. And William strikes me as that person who just cannot hear anything in conversation. He's just like obstinate about everything. And I think that's a large part of why he's kicked out, because there's like no give and take. There is no community to him. He's like a truly American isolationist. It is my way or the highway. Uh I know exactly how the world should work. And if you disagree with me, then fuck you. I'm happy to live on shitty corn next to the witch cottage.
Yeah, I think it's one of the themes. I think there are like a few themes that this film is playing with, and I feel like it maybe would be a stronger film if it had picked one and been really strong with it. But definitely there is a version of this film that is just a portrait of masculinity in crisis. Like he can't deal with his own failure, and that one scene, and we will obviously get to it properly, where Anya Taylor-Joy's character Thomason lists his failures at him accurately, and he can't deal with it. Like that is the failure of masculinity in a harsh, unforgiving landscape with Puritanism left, right, and center is a pill, I guess.
Mhm.
I love the person who's in the background of the tribunal scene just being like, wait, you don't judge us, we're judging you. This is our turn to judge you. I was like, good work, whoever got their SAG card with that line back there.
So they have gone and found a patch of land. Man, it's a very different real estate market in the 2020s than it was in 1630s Massachusetts, where you could just be like, well, I got kicked out of the village, so I guess I will just claim this land. So you get the land.
All you have to do is kiss the ground.
Yeah.
Just kiss the ground, put your hands up in the air, and I think a real estate agent is like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. This is bring an architect and your imagination. So they find this patch of land, and then they build themselves a little farm. And they have their 5th child, little baby Samuel. And it looks like
little baby Sam.
Oh, he's so cute. And they're just trucking right along, doing what we do. Really appreciate this film. Gets right into it, man. There's no dwelling on like, let's look at the farm life, blah blah blah. Let's just get
I know.
right
They go
to
from zero to cat. They go from zero to farmstead, and I'm like, thank you,
Thank
you, taking out the middle bits. Like, great.
So we've got young Thomason who is playing peekaboo with Samuel.
Oh.
And then
when I first saw this movie, this scene was like, I think the most shocking because this movie is so very realistic. It's all shot in natural light. The language is, kind of taken from texts of the time. So it's very, and this is the scene where I was like, what the fuck have I gotten myself into with this movie?
Yeah, it's such a good quiet scare because it's, peek eye, just cover eyes, look at baby Samuel, cover eyes, look at baby Samuel, cover eyes, baby Samuel not making a noise, she opens eyes and he's just gone. And it's just a repetition trick.
Yeah.
And she looks up and all she can do is, I mean, she's just kind of out in the open. Like there's nowhere this baby could have gone. It literally just vanished in 1.5 seconds.
Yeah. And it's also like the twitch that there's like one piece of grass that twitches and then one piece of like branch that twitches like 50 yards away that like draws your eye up into that you know exactly where that baby went, but you don't see anything at all. I'd be like, no, we got to go. We got to get out of here.
That's right. We cut to a shot of a baby inside some dank cottage lying on the table, and we see kind of a naked woman kind of with long witchy hands. Like
it's Julia Child. Just call it for what it is. It's Julia Child. First we have to trust the baby.
Yeah.
Then we have to like get out the thyme and your lemon and your garlic and you put it up in the baby. Yeah.
And then we see a knife descend on the baby. It cuts away. Such a great cut because it goes right to nighttime shot of this witch using a stick and a tree stump as a mortar and pestle, making baby paste.
It's baby pesto.
Baby.
I mean, clearly. I yes.
Which noodle
absolutely.
do you use with that? You want something with a spiral to
I
it
think
to
it
catch all the
fusilli,
sauce,
right?
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want a strozzopreti, clearly. You want a sauce catcher.
Yeah. Yeah. No angel hair for this.
You know, it's so funny after doing this podcast and watching Haxon, this sort of this churning motion that is so synonymous with witchcraft. I was like, oop, clocked
Mm-hmm.
it, because that was a witch film that I had not seen before making this podcast, and now I can kind of, God, that devil in Haxon just turning that butter
Oh my
in the
God.
most seductive way possible.
just really getting it going. Yeah. And she's smearing the paste on herself, and then at night during the largest
And on
full
her
moon.
broom, she
Yeah.
has skin. I love how like practical it is. Like, this is like, no, take step 1, take baby. Step
Yeah.
2, put
Yeah.
baby in pestle. Step 3, apply to body and to broom. Step
Yeah.
4, fly.
Yeah.
Dip, dop, dip, done.
Uh-huh. I wanted to make a pie the other night, and so I was like, I don't have lamb. And so I rode my bike down to the green market. They had some ground lamb, and I brought it back home. And that's what she did. She was like, oh, you know
Yeah.
what? I don't
Yeah.
have baby for the baby
Gotta
pesto.
pop out to get some baby.
When
Yep.
when you go ask your neighbors if you can borrow a baby, like a cup of baby, you're like, I swear I'll bring it back. I'll
Nine
I don't
and a
know,
half
I'll bring you some
pounds.
muffins that I
Yeah.
make or whatever.
The recipe just calls for 7.5 pounds, but whatever. I'm sure we can wing it. So, yeah, beautiful shot of the witch walking toward the moon at the ominous music plays. Blah,
I think
blah,
she's
blah.
flying. She
Yeah,
is
she is.
clearly floating.
She is floating. She is very much drifting. Like, it's not the E.T. money shot. It's just a
No.
witch like drifting toward the moon from the back. She's on a bike
She is in
in
fact
front
on
of
a bike
the moon.
with a little basket in front.
Okay, so Catherine handles this well. Mom handles
Oh.
this super well.
Oh my God. Okay. Kate Dickie. I did not realize that I knew this actress. She's from Game of Thrones. And then when I put that together, I was like, can you imagine, like, what a great career to be like, hey, do you need a crazy religious zealot? I got you.
She's just got such a great face. And
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's I get a bit worried that we're losing great faces because everyone is getting the
Yeah.
same surgery. And it's really, I always find it really refreshing just to see someone with like an interesting face.
Yeah, she's incredible. Wait, was she in Marianne? Do I have this right? No, forget I said that because I know her from something. Yeah, she has an incredible face.
She
She's
was
so interesting.
she's Guinevere as well in The Green Knight.
Okay,
which
That's
is a
right.
very good use of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. An incredible face. We need more incredible faces, people who are interesting.
Yeah.
And I also love like the casting of very specific British actors in this movie. Like, there is no American accent. And I feel like if they had gone with quote American actors, it would have, like, that sort of longing for I wish we were back in England is like very present in the language, in the accent. And I think it really enhances this movie. So I don't know, just amazing casting all around.
We have a lot of American historical films from America that take place in like even the 18th century where everyone has an American accent. I'm like, well, I don't think we're sort of acknowledging quite
Thomas Jefferson, bro.
who the people are here.
Hey, Ben Franklin, what are you doing today? I don't know. Let's go out and invent something.
Let's invent electricity. Got a kite.
Yeah, bro.
Okay, so Catherine's spending her days crying and praying and just kind of just not
Not sleeping,
not sleeping.
blaming her daughter.
Hmm. So one morning, Caleb gets up early to meet William, father, and he's going to take Caleb hunting in the woods. And we get the sense that maybe, oh, we don't get the sense. They tell us it's been a full week since Samuel's gone missing. And William is saying, like, we're not searching for this child anymore because
Yeah.
if a wolf didn't get him, then hunger got him.
Yeah.
So he's fucked either way. But we see the corn like on the ground, and the corn is bad. They have grown bad corn, and so they've got to get some kind of food. So let's go check the traps. Hey, Dad, we don't have any money per se. Where did you get these really nice, little nice traps for hunting? Oh, Mom's favorite silver cup that her father gave her.
Uh-oh. The pride and joy, the apple of her eye,
Mm-hmm.
her favoriteest thing in the world. Yeah, I sold that.
Yep. Sold it for a pocket watch chain. A set of combs. I forget how the story goes.
That's it. That's exactly it. And then she sold her. No. Man, and I understand his rationale of like mother is distraught.
Mm-hmm.
But it really, Janina, like we said, like later when Thomason comes back with like the litany of dad, what the fuck? Like later when there's a perfect time to mother is less distraught to be like, oh, okay, all right, family meeting time.
Yeah.
And listen, if you're like I know that this is a very different time, but if you're like bringing your 12-year-old son into the conspiracy that's like going to unravel this family, shh, don't tell mom. If that's your attitude, if it's just the six of you, it's not going to go well.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say again, also as a parenting expert, who doesn't have children, I think asking your kids to lie to their other parent, and also allowing your kids to be blamed for something that you did, this is a pretty big line to cross, I think, in the parenting game. I don't think that's going to end well for anyone.
That's why his choice to sell Catherine's cup to pay for the hunting stuff and not telling her about it, and not telling her I'm taking our son out into the woods, which we're not allowed to go into because we know that
Right.
inherently that they're filled with evil. His lack of communication with his wife is a theme that runs through present day. This is storytelling about marriages and
What?
partnerships, but there is his isolationist attitude, his father knows best patriarchal attitude, and also his proto-American individualism attitude is kind of his fatal flaw. It's what gets the whole family in trouble. It's not just the witch, it's the fact that I can do this on my own. And even within the confines of the family, I can do this on my own. I don't need to communicate my plans. We don't need to strategize. We don't need to have openness. You know what?
No, I just need to
I'll
chop
fix
more
this.
wood.
Yeah.
That's it. Just chop more wood in silence and in anger. That'll fix it.
It kind of hints at, but I don't think necessarily explores in a way that I would have liked it to, because I think it is one of like three big themes that maybe should have just been a sole theme, where obviously it's set in a time where wives and children were essentially possessions, right? That this isn't just, it's not the same as a man today failing to communicate properly with his family. He is the sole responsibility. He bears that alone because of the time that they're living in. And I think that there are hints at an exploration of how damaging that is for men, as well as how damaging it is for their wives and their children. And I would have loved to see that explored in a little bit more depth, a little bit more specificity, but it is definitely there in this. He is cracking under the pressure of being completely isolated, having all the responsibility and not being able to live up to it.
Yeah, it's the line later when Catherine says, like if Caleb goes, what? Is Caleb is Jonas gonna be the man of the family? Like
Yeah.
that really kind of drives home. They're like, oh, this is a patrilineal
Yeah.
hierarchy here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they do find, well, they find that the trap has been tripped, but it's empty. But then they see a juicy fat rabbit
Oh,
just
that
in the
that
middle of the
hair.
woods, just staring at them.
It's
And
like
it's
the
just a
biggest
rush.
hair, the biggest rabbit ever.
Oh God, he's so plump, so chubby. He's gonna be a great meal. And unfortunately, also we don't live in the modern era where guns are pretty easy to load and fire. So he's got to like hook a fucking wick up to this thing and tamp
Yeah.
down the whatever with his rifle and get this thing aimed. That rabbit stays there the whole time, but the gun like backfires. This is a moment where I thought we were about to have a close up of a completely like a face half removed from a man, you know?
Oh,
Like
sure.
I think in a different horror film, that's what goes on here. But it just backfires. Like there's no shot that goes into him. He's fine. All right, let's talk about Jonas and Mercy and their pet goat, Black Phillip.
Black Phillip, what a guy. What an
Uh,
icon.
Black
you know
Phillip
what's
is
so
an incredible name, by the way.
Yeah.
a great name. You know it struck me on this is like the level of education that that these children must have. Like, where do they learn what became a big question for me. You know, and listen, these creepiest kids ever. Where did they hear this song? Did they make this up? Is Black Phillip like it? Like I was like, you're coming from a like such an isolated area, so much so that Thomason, who presumably like can't even write her own name,
Mm.
as we learn later. But I was like, did these kids just make this song up? Did they hear this in the village? Did like, you know, kind of like where did the song come from? And clearly the devil is, I think, an
Mm-hmm.
answer. But it really got me wondering. I was like, oh, what? Because I don't know if you were Catholic, if you were the mother, if you were anybody else in the family, you're like, what the fuck are you kids talking about?
Yeah, especially in this situation. They haven't learned anything that their mother hasn't taught them
Yeah.
because they have no opportunity to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I clocked that too. That they seemed very educated for their age. Like they speak so well for their age. They also know this song, which they're not at pre-K right now.
And
And
it's like filled with like his horns or crowns upon his head. And I was like,
yeah,
all right, all
I,
right.
I very much read this
Swift.
as
All right, Shakespeare.
Black Phillip is raising these two kids.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's how I read this.
Yeah. Which is another sort of isolation thing that like they're obviously their mother has been raising them and presumably teaching them, and I would imagine a lot of that is memorizing Bible verses and that sort of thing. But she's been in bed crying for the last week and they've been left to their own devices. So the risks of sort of neglecting your children to deal with your grief.
Yeah.
Yeah, too much time.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
interesting, like when Caleb and William are out hunting, it's a very like call and repeat way of learning. You know, it's like tell me about, I don't know, tell me about your sin, child. And he goes on the, you know, like my first sin is the sin of the blah, blah, blah. But then later he says, read from the book at dinner. And I was like, well, okay, so maybe only Caleb, like only the boys get to be literate in this family. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. That was just like where my mind went on this second viewing of like, what is the education like hierarchy of this family?
Yeah. And I don't know if that's deliberate or if that, because there are a couple of things where that just seem like mistakes in the script, like the moment where the father says the moon is bright tonight and the rain doesn't bother me. So it's like raining, but there's and it's like raining heavily. It's not like a little bit here and there. It's like solid, constant, and yet the moon is bright. No, that is the
Usually
sort of thing that
not.
you're like, okay, so maybe there are some mistakes in here.
Yeah.
So
Moon,
I don't know if
clouds,
that's
rain.
an
Yeah.
inconsistency about the education level, or if that is meant to suggest that the boys get to learn how to read, but the girls don't.
I also think we should take note of symbolism because we see Thomason at the farm before the boys return home. and she finds a dead baby bird inside
Yeah.
of its shell. And didn't we see this in Valerie and Her Week of Wonders, another movie about coming
Oh
of age?
yeah.
Wasn't it a dead baby bird
Yeah.
as well? This very like mid 20th century symbolism sort of
It's
thing.
like the premature birth,
Yeah, it's the
the wasted birth.
I am becoming woman. Yeah. Um. So boys return home as Black Phillip is playing with the two kids, but they come home as Black Phillip is rearing up on them, hence the photo on my Zoom background. And he has to William has to break them up and put the goat in its pen. And this is when Catherine comes out, and Catherine is, again, to speak of your many themes, Janina, like the other theme is that like looking out for one another, like that things you get separated very easily when you're a small single family alone in the woods. So there's no one there to watch baby Samuel other than this Thomason. So we don't know what happened to him. No one was watching these kids because they're not obeying Thomason's orders. They're just
Mhm.
running off with this fucking goat. And Dad and Caleb just went off without telling anyone in the morning. And so I think she's snippy, but I don't think she's wrong to be a little mad about all this.
I don't think she is ever wrong. When she gets at the moment, she's like, I want to be home. I want to be back in England. I'm like, yeah. You probably lived in like York. You had
Yeah.
your mum down the street. You had a community, and you also had like reliably built buildings
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. They
You
had
weren't-
windows made of glass.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
How wonderful.
yeah,
Don't you miss that?
yeah.
I mean, but the thing is that she really does go hard after she's like, Caleb is not allowed to leave, like even under the care of the only other adult around.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Come on, Catherine.
Yeah. Her
She's clearly. I mean, clearly, like the disappearance of Samuel is shaking her up. She's like, I need eyes on my children at all time. Period. End of story.
yeah, her entire history leading up to this point has been from the point of view of somebody who can't have full control over her own life. And here's another set of circumstances where, again, representation of I have no control. I never got what I wanted. In fact, like her big speech later after Caleb dies is about never getting what she wanted
Yeah.
because she never had any say in the matter. She was always looking to a husband who never had her best interest in mind and looking to a God who probably isn't actually there. And so, yeah, so she's definitely in a place where like we're beyond reasonable tone and we're just going to snap off when we get upset is I think what's happening here with her. And she sends Caleb out to what is it? She sends
Thomason has
Thomason
to
out
go
to the
wash
creek
Dad's
to wash
woolens.
Dad's clothes because he's got shit all over him.
Got some schmutz on it. That's right.
And Caleb has to go out to the brook as well to just water. He's just getting water.
Just
Is
get
that
some
his
water.
deal?
But not before he tells a little fib about picking
Mhm.
some apples. I thought I saw apples, but
Yeah,
you
he
know.
takes the blame for Dad because he
Yeah.
knows he's not supposed to tell, and so he covers for his father by saying it was me, which is more
Which will
than
come
what
back
William
later
does
when
at
he
dinner.
coughs up a witch apple.
My least favorite apple, second least favorite apple, behind the golden
Crab apple,
delicious.
witch
Golden delicious is the worst apple. Um. Okay, so at the creek, we've got one. We've already set up an earlier shot of Caleb looking at his sister, and then another shot of him looking at his sister here, because Caleb is entering an age where he's just feeling some things. And again, you're not in school. You don't got
Mhm.
any girls to look at when you're this age to be like,
Mhm.
what are these feelings? How do I sit with these? All I got is my fucking sister.
I was just watching you while you sleep.
Oh, eek. And oh God, fucking Mercy, that one of the girls, the twins.
God, these children. This is the most Crucible like
Uh-huh.
scene in which like something innocent said in jest, said in the heat of the moment becomes gospel truth.
Yeah.
Like this is very like, it was Goody Proctor in the bathhouse, whatever the fuck it was. Goody Proctor at the well.
Yeah, this is, I'm going to say whatever I can to get you to leave me alone.
Yeah.
And it's going to come back to bite me later.
Yeah. Yeah, Mercy starts with, I be the witch of the wood. Like, she's the one saying this to start with, like, playing around.
Creepy.
And she even tells, when Thomason tells her to shut the fuck up and go away, she's like, Black Phillip says, I can do what I like. Like, oh, we need to get you away from that goat.
Yeah, we do. Clickety-clack, clickety-clack.
And Mercy says, Black Phillip says it wasn't a wolf what stole Samuel, but a witch. And Thomason says, you know what? You're right. It was. And that witch is me. I am the witch of the wood. I will eat you. I will devour you. And if you tell Mom about this, I will absolutely kill you and your brother. So this is very like teenager behavior. Like,
You snap at your younger siblings because they're so annoying.
Yeah. And you say horrible shit to them. Okay, so we're at dinner. This is where Catherine is blaming Thomason for misplacing the silver cup. She, it's a small cottage, couldn't have gone far. How'd you lose it? And William is just like half-heartedly defending Thomason, being like, hon, she said she doesn't know where it is.
She said she doesn't know.
She said she doesn't know. But, he's not really standing up for her. Oh, and she has the incredible line. She's like, well, whether you touched it or not, it's gone. Did a wolf vanish that too? Oh,
fuck.
God damn, that hurts.
All right, Mom is holding a grudge, apparently. You lose one goddamn baby, you have to live for the rest of your life.
So that night, we've got Caleb and Thomason overhearing their parents. I like that their parents are like,
oh, this is the most
pretending they can't hear, thinking these kids can't
like,
hear.
Hey, you kids awake up there? No, we can talk about them freely and openly in this one-room cabin.
Yeah, because they definitely would have answered if they weren't awake. If they were awake, we can
100%
absolutely trust them to confirm that they're not eavesdropping.
Absolutely.
But they're talking. They're obviously like arguing. Said, we should have. Catherine says we should have never left the plantation. We should have never left the village. And she also points out that, well, maybe for money, for livelihood, whatever, that Thomason, maybe we can reconnect with the village because Thomason can go work for this nice family or this nice family because she's entering womanhood now. So she's gotten her first sign of womanhood. She can serve this other family. And it's basically like, we will starve if we try and live on her own. He's like, we're not going back to that church. Yeah. We will find food. I'll make sure of it. Father.
Father knows best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, father knows best, especially when it comes to his favorite daughter.
That's right. And then it's this next scene where early morning, Caleb is going to get the horse. So like he's learning from dad. The boy has to go out and solve problems without telling anyone, just. And to Janina's point, I mean, I think that's just part of the culture here. I think that's just part of the time frame that we're in. But he's going to go check the traps. We do find something in the trap. It's pretty quick. Yeah. It looks like a rabbit. Could be.
Yeah, they catch a couple of stoats or.
Yeah,
something like that.
But then they see the rabbit.
Oh, this spooky rabbit.
The spooky, beautiful rabbit.
This rabbit creeps me the fuck out. It's just the way it's shot. It's its eyes. Yeah. It's the constant twitching of the nose, and the remainder is still.
Yeah.
I imagine if you just saw this rabbit on set, you'd be like, "That's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my whole life." But in the context of this film, it's real fucking creepy.
And it's bad when the horse is scared.
Yep.
That's a witch rabbit.
So Caleb gives chase. The horse gets spooked. bucks off Thomason, who gets
Dogs
knocked
running.
out.
The horses in one direction. Thomason
Um,
has cracked her head open.
this is Into the Woods, right? When the cow runs away and everybody's
Yes.
scattering, they don't know what to do. So Caleb runs after it. Thomason falls off the horse. They get lost from each other because Thomason can't respond to his yells.
I'd also like to point out that gun is like 2.5 times taller than Caleb is.
It's enormous. The gun is so huge.
Mhm.
Well, it's morning and mom and dad are up. And they are calling for Thomason and Caleb. And we see in the foreground that the two twins have been tied to the goat
Mhm.
stable. like they've been
roped.
roped to it.
Sure.
It's so good.
You've got to
Um,
control your bad vibe children sometimes.
Yeah, you're like,
Ew.
I'm a trad wife. When my kids talk to goats, I treat them like goats by tying them to a pen.
Uh-huh. So Thomason returns home because she hears dad calling for her. Again, you lost another child,
No.
Thomason, on your watch.
God, there's so many shots of Thomason silently doing the mental calculations in the corner of trying to figure out a way to answer her parents in this movie.
Uh-huh.
Like so many times, from very small things to very complex, like what happened? Like you can just see her trying to figure out how to begin to make her parents understand,
Mhm.
and nothing comes out.
Yeah, well, because it's part of what is going on, I think, is that her parents are living in a world, and the film is living in a world where there is either godly and good, or there is evil and satanic. There's not Humanity doesn't really exist as a valid state of being. Like if you're not godly, then you are
Yeah.
evil, and there's no room for error.
Yeah.
Which
And humans are evil because of the whole, we're all just sinful all the time and we're just
Yeah.
praying for heaven.
Yeah. So you don't just have to make them understand what happened on a practical level, but you have to try and navigate that expectation, which is impossible to do. Mm.
Well, Caleb is lost. He hears Fowler, their dog,
Oh.
yelp out, and then he finds the dog has been Zed's dead, baby. Like that dog is disemboweled. Yeah.
Mm.
Then he walks further and finds a cottage in the
Witch
woods.
hut.
Hell yeah,
It's a
witch hut.
great little witch hut.
Yeah.
It's
Like it
nice.
feels like it's built into the roots of a tree. It's
Mhm.
very it's very nice. It's very
Yeah.
very dank yet cozy vibes from the witch's hut.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, like, and so different from the sort of meager cleanness of the Puritan house.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like it's been there for a long time. There's, roots and trees and moss growing on the roof
Yeah. Yeah, where
of
that
nature, not
where that house ends and the
anti-nature.
earth begins is not
Yeah.
clear. Yeah, it seems to have risen out of the earth almost.
She also has like a giant, like sacrificial rock in her front yard.
Yeah,
Come on.
it's so
I want to
nice.
see the Zillow listing for this witch hut.
I know. I was on Wayfair looking for a sacrificial rock for my apartment.
Like plus if it has moss on it, great.
Yeah. I found one, but the reviews weren't super good, so I'm gonna keep
Oh.
looking. I think you just have to spend the money to get a good
Yeah, you
one.
do. It's worth it. It's worth it.
Well, a very beautiful woman in a red cloak steps out. And we've seen a few shots of Caleb having his 12-year-old boy kind of like, I don't know what to do. What are these feelings? What is
Mhm.
happening? Oh, this looks nice.
All of a sudden,
kid-
here are a pair of boobs that don't belong to his sister.
Like he's literally going hamana, 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 auga, auga. I mean, I also love I also love the color use in this movie is so spectacular. Much in the like this movie is browns and grays.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And so like wilt thou live deliciously? And that means we get to use the color red.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like the old woman with the red cloak, The young woman with the red cloak, like it is so powerful to like pick one, make a choice, and then go with that color. Be like, no, 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 we got one color in this movie.
Yeah.
Red is delicious.
Isn't this amazing, the reversal of the Little Red Riding Hood trope
Oh,
moment
sure.
here?
Yeah.
Of like the
Yeah.
little boy alone in the woods, the hunter alone in the woods, and then here's the beautiful woman in the red cloak who is the
Red cloak
predator.
in a
Yeah.
corset.
And the corset. She leans in and touches his face, starts to kiss him passionately, and then witch hand grabs him.
Oof.
Drumbeat cut to black. All right, so now we also learn back at the cottage, back at Catherine and William's place, like, okay, not only have we lost 2 of our children,
Uh-huh.
we've also lost our dog, our hunting
Yeah.
dog, and our fucking horse.
Horse is
Hmm.
gone.
So when Catherine's like, we should go back to the village, just ask them for help looking for our kids. And he's like, listen, it's already a day's ride, and I don't have that horse. So, I could go out now and look for him. Like maybe that's a thing. I can just keep trying. But he does admit at this moment when she is berating Thomason, Catherine's berating Thomason, like, why did you go into the woods? And Thomason doesn't know what to say, doesn't know how to respond. And while she's stammering over her answer, William says he finally steps up to sort of protect his daughter and says, I was the one, I sold the silver cup. Forgive me, both of you. And he admits to taking Caleb to the woods the previous morning. And yeah, she's fucking mad. Rightfully.
Yeah, fair enough.
What? Yeah. What is going on in this house, Leland?
One thing I really like about what Eggers is doing in this movie with these parental characters, because they don't make great choices. Obviously, they make terrible choices, and they are making choices based off of stuff that I think is kind of horrible and frightening to like go with like super Puritan choices in life. But there is an undercurrent that demonstrates how much they're trying to do right. They're just not armed with any ability. Like the world
Yeah.
is working against them. Nature is working against them. Just the history of like the Christian Puritanism is working against them. Patriarchy is working against them because they don't understand the power that they have. It's only Thomason who's going to really, and maybe even the twins, understand really the type of power you have in choices beyond what's visible to you. And so when they're getting ready to go to bed and it's raining outside and Thomason says, I will bed the goats down. Dad's like, they're not going to run away in the rain. She's like, I should do it. And Mom, Catherine, like kisses her tenderly on the head and says, just hurry back, be safe, hurry back. There's just like moments like this where we're not going full bore of evil Puritan parents.
Yeah.
But in the rain, while she's putting the goats away, she sees Caleb out standing in the rain, naked and writhing against the fence post.
Oh no. Well, hey, at least he came home.
He did. He made it back.
Yeah.
Silver linings.
Prodigal son.
He might also have like, some witch marks on him, but
Got some witch marks. He's got throat apples.
got a
Got some
bad
throat
case of the
apples.
throat apples.
Yep.
I got the wormy throat apples.
Boy, and those apples look mealy, by the
Ugh.
way. They do not they
Ugh.
also wash your apples.
Yeah.
Always wash your apple.
And don't swallow them whole.
So they bring Caleb in, they're praying over him. All of these shots of even in the rain, Dad is out chopping wood.
Oh God.
That's
I keep
how he
thinking of,
uses
like,
his tension, I guess.
It's like very Amityville horror, this of like Dad's losing it because he's off doing, Dad's working in the garage, silently just tinkering to himself. And this is the Puritan equivalent of that, of like unable to comprehend what's going on. So he's just off chopping a lot of wood in the rain.
When nothing else will save you, physical labor will.
Yeah.
Mhm. This is like his PS5, right? This is
Yeah,
his
that's
man
it.
cave.
Yeah.
He's not gonna. He doesn't have NCAA 25 hasn't come out yet, so he's got to just chop wood.
Yeah.
So next day, in the barn, we're milking the goat. I forget the white goat's name. Barbara, whatever it is. She's milking Barbara. And the fucking twins are out there being like, Black
Horrible.
Phillip told us Caleb is sick because you're a witch.
You're a witch. She's like, shut up, you guys.
And it's at this point that as she's milking the goat, just straight blood comes out.
It's not good.
No, that looks bad, actually.
That looks like you really want to get that goat to a vet
Yeah.
pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where we get Catherine's big plea to like it's elevated from she's gone from should ask the village for help to we should have never left that plantation
Yeah.
to I want to go home to England.
We should never left the continent.
And that also comes on the heels of him asking the question because she's snapping at him and he just says, what do you want? Right? Like, not what you don't want. What do you want? And I, as the man, will make it happen. And she says, I want to go home to England. His face
I
is
want
like,
to go home to England
oh.
and I want Jesus' love. That's what I want. Because that one time I had a dream about Jesus and he touched me in a way that was more pleasant than any husband could. And that is what I want. I have not felt that since. Give me that Jesus touch.
Uh-huh. Well, it's not long. Caleb is not long for this. He is up and at him this next morning, writhing and screaming, saying things like, she's upon me, my bowels. He shouts, my bowels.
Yeah.
She's a raven. She's a wolf.
Uh-huh.
He's actually, I mean, he might just be like freestyle scatting, rapping.
Yeah.
He's doing some beat poetry.
This is Slam Night, yeah.
It's early beat poetry.
Yeah, this is a boy who just discovered the pleasures of the flesh and he's inspired, you know.
Yeah, that's it.
Who can blame him?
That's totally it.
He's doing open mic night at the coffee shop.
I want to do an open mic and just start with, I
My
recently
bowels.
discovered the pleasures of the flesh. Here's my poem.
Oh, I love it. Snaps. Poetry snaps. For sure.
It's going to be hard to keep that apple in my throat till the end of the poem when I...
Oh my God. If you
at the
spit
end.
out a wormy witch apple at the end, people will be gagged.
Yeah.
Literally.
Maybe I'll go to Edinburgh Fringe Festival next year. Maybe I have a piece.
Just call it witch apple.
Uh-huh.
Toast to
Okay,
the French.
so he throws up this whole apple. Catherine is like, well, for sure now he is witched.
Yes, that's fair. That's a fair conclusion to draw when someone regurgitates from nowhere a whole apple.
It's true. Like, there's a big kind of debate in this movie of like, is there supernatural shit going on? Or is this like a sort of family-wide hallucination based on their, rotting corn, based on the isolation, based on, all that stuff. And I'm like, honestly, when stuff starts appearing out of nowhere,
yeah. I mean,
I gotta go supernatural.
I think for the audience, we know it's supernatural because we see the witch alone doing her thing.
Yeah.
And I think for the family that, regurgitating a whole apple sort of, it's very, very difficult to come up with a non-supernatural explanation for that. Like, it's not like he could have just put it in his mouth. They've been surrounding him for hours and he's been like chanting basically that whole time. But it does really tie that conclusion up with a bow, I think.
Well, these fucking twins sell Thomason's ass out. Like they fucking turn stool real fast. And they she danced with the devil. She turned the goat's milk to blood. She told me, she said that she would to eat us. And
I love Thomason. She's like, you were just being dicks. Come on. You were being obnoxious and I pinched you because you are the worst. And you have too much time in your hands. Here's an iPad. Go into the other room.
Yeah.
Stop being friends with the goat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Get away from that damn goat.
And William is like, look me in the eye, daughter. Dost thou love God? Prayer, blah, 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 etc. And she's like, yes, father. Well, let us all pray, and then we'll fear nothing. And then these fucking twins,
Can't
so
remember their
vile.
prayers. They
We
can't
can't
remember their
remember our prayers, father. Oh
Huh,
no.
we do not know the words.
Oh, and then Caleb starts writhing in pain, and these twins start enacting it, a la
Yeah.
we saw this in Midsommar too, but like
Yeah.
it's just we saw this in the
Absolutely.
Crucible, right? Like everyone starts
Yeah.
kind of joining in into this hysteria, quote unquote, and it's
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
And he's not just writhing in pain, he's writhing in
Yes.
ecstasy.
Yes.
Because he's literally seeing Jesus.
Yeah. Maybe well, he says, my sweet Lord Jesus, kiss me with thy kisses of thy mouth. It's something real janky sentence like that. But
Yeah.
it is it's borderline. Yeah, it's not borderline. It's like romantic language.
Yeah.
It's a
I
really
mean, I think it's very King James Bible-y.
yes.
I think it may be, I don't remember my Bible well enough, but I think it may be an actual Bible verse, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Mm.
But it feels intentional to place this so close to Catherine's thing about
Yeah.
how she remembered the passion she felt for the physical closeness of Christ in her early
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
to better than any man's. And here we have Caleb kind of experiencing a similar thing. And he
Yeah. It's very like CCM is this pop song about Jesus or your boyfriend coded.
It's like siblings are dating, but Jesus her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Which,
That's
yeah.
it.
But he he says my soul salvation, then he laughs, then moans in joy / ecstasy, and then dead.
He dies.
Yeah.
This is also the scene where I watched this film the first time. I was like, how do you get a performance out of like a tween
Yeah.
to do this?
Yeah.
Because it's so nuanced. This like there's so many layers to this scene, and like breaking this down must have been really hard to do with somebody who is so young.
Yeah.
And this kid pulls it off.
Yeah, he's really good. It's a very impressive performance, I think.
It was very, very good. I just still think about the little factoid that I learned when we did The Exorcist, that movie was offered to Mike Nichols and he turned it down because he did not want to work with a child actor. Fair,
Makes sense.
fair, totally fair. But you've got to work with several child actors in this movie. I mean, Anya Taylor-Joy is 19, but
Yeah.
but these
actually,
others,
I read an interesting thing about so the director had no kids and was having a hard time with the direction, and Ralph Ineson had children and sort of took Harvey Scrimshaw, the kid who plays Caleb, under his wing and kind of was like breaking down like what an actor does to like how to direct a younger kid. And essentially he put it all in sports terms of like, it's like when you're playing soccer. And the kid instantly got it.
That's
That's
so good.
adorable.
Mentorship. I think it's great.
Yeah. No, that's really great. I mean, I think we've learned that through Chris Columbus, the film director, Chris Columbus, when he made those first two Harry Potter movies, that he was very, very adamant about casting very experienced and very like emotionally balanced people of English theater and film, because he's like, he knew from years of filmmaking that like kids in Hollywood is fucking hard on them, and you need people to help them become not just good actors on set, but like good people and have like some sense of family.
Yeah.
Okay, so Caleb's gone.
How many children are we down to?
Oh, we're down to we're down to like Thomason and then the two worst children who ever lived.
It did make me think a lot of that tweet. Like, what if the child is bad to be around?
Well, Catherine, like Thomason is trying to chime in with just anything, and Catherine is like, "You need to fuck right off.
You're a witch.
You're a witch.
Dad thinks you're a witch. I think you're a witch. You got to go."
And William approaches Thomason outside, and he's kind of coming at her with the tone of like kindness and understanding, but his words are like, well, we'll just go before we'll have to go see the village tribunal to see about a witchcraft the thing. And she's like, wait, I'm not a fucking witch.
Yeah. No, I know you're saying you're not a witch, but just tell me you're a witch and we'll believe you're a witch. That's all we want. We just want your love as a witch to not be a witch. And Jesus will love you and help you not be a witch. You witch?
That is how all the witch trials were conducted as well, I think.
Like, I mean, that's the frustration of it.
Yeah.
Is if you say you're a witch, you're a witch. If you say you're not a witch, you're a witch.
Yeah.
Here's Jesus. You die. It's like, that's pretty much in a nutshell. Did you float? Did you float or sink? You're still a witch,
Mhm.
you know?
And we still do
dead.
that to this day. We just do that in the police do that. The police and the DA's office do that to
Yeah.
criminals. Just say you did it. Just say you did it, and we'll knock 5 years off. Just say you did it.
I didn't do
Because
it.
you're
Well, that's
going to
exactly
have
what
done
you'd
it.
say
If you did do it. If you
Yeah.
did do it, yeah.
This is my favorite scene in this movie.
Yeah.
It's because she goes off on her
She reads
dad.
him. She fully reads him
Yeah.
up and down.
And it starts with his phrase, just speak the truth. I mean, you were talking about like devastating somebody in a rap battle. That's
Yeah.
what she does, because she
Yeah.
takes his words and turns them back on him, which
Yeah.
is like the greatest thing you can do
Yeah.
in this type of battle. She's like, you and your mother plan to rid the farm of me. Is that the truth? You took the silver cup and let mom rip me a new one. Is that the truth? You can't hunt. Is that a truth?
Yeah. You let mom just
can't
do whatever the
farm.
fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
She let mom do whatever the fuck she wants. Like, it's saying all the unspoken truths that people that I feel like is so much a part of like Christianity, of like, shush, shush, shush. Pay no attention to this other, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain truths.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we're not here to confront our own failures. We're here
Yeah.
to blame you for yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. To William's credit, well, one more demerit for William, because his way of like getting her back in the house is just to grab her and drag her.
Yeah.
But he gets half a point back for he at least believes her. Now, he swings hard the other way because she is like, those kids spend all day with that fucking goat.
Yeah.
We know, and she starts citing biblical something to him about how the billy goat is the way that Lucifer takes its form, and they know it, and you know it, and those twins know it too. And he drags her back in the house. He's like, tell your mom what you just told me. And she says, Jonas and Mercy make communion with the devil in the form of Black Phillip. And William is like, you black minions, wake from this, ye yoke devils, to those kids.
I know, right? He's like, I'm going to pick up this child and I'm going to brain you unless you stop this play acting right now. And that works.
It does, which I'm like, oh, those kids are absolutely faking this shit.
Are they?
Pieces of shit. I'm so mad, by the way, that we don't learn what happened to those two.
No.
No,
Well,
they
we
may have
assume-
also gone off and become witches.
Oh, no, I think the witch eats them.
Yeah, those are the two options. Either the witch
Yeah.
has taken them, or
Or they just become feral Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I hope so. I hope it took a while.
Oh, I hope she makes pesto, fucking carbonara. She just gives them the whole treatment with those two.
So unpleasant. Such bad vibes.
So the solution here is let's
Yes.
take all three kids
Mm-hmm.
and sit them down and just talk this through.
Yes.
No, hold on. No, wait. I lost my notes. No, let's tie them up in the goat pen for 24 hours with
Let's
Black Phillip.
nail them into the goat pen. That's a very extreme timeout, Dad.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's not significantly worse a place to live than the house. Which
Right?
is, I mean, I guess they did have to build themselves a house, and they did the best they could, but doesn't seem comfortable.
No.
It's just really unfortunate that one of their goats is actually the devil incarnate.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who could have seen that coming?
And also, like, okay, you have like weird witchcrafty things going around, and like clearly this goat is a part of it. Maybe you don't know exactly what part. I'm just, why are you going to put it all together in one room?
Hmm.
You know?
Maybe separate them because they've only
Yeah,
got one goat pen. They need
right.
more. They need one for each child and one for the goat.
I just kept thinking, goat is not bad meat. So
It's
if
not
you're getting
Right?
hungry
very
this
good in a
winter,
curry.
yes.
Slow
Yeah,
cooked, some slow cooked goat, very,
yeah.
very good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know they
And
have
I
a
think
crock pot.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, they got to
Well,
bury their son.
yeah.
This scene is so beautiful
Hmm.
Mm.
and so sad. When mom just crawls into that grave and looks up at him like, you done fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah, she actually climbs down into the grave and hugs the wrapped body of
Yeah.
Caleb. And later that night, while he's chopping wood,
Dude,
he's
you have enough
Again.
wood, and also cover that wood. It's just exposed. Like, wet wood
Yeah.
is not going to do you any good.
No,
Mhm.
it's going to take so long to dry out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs a lean-to. Like all you have to do is just
Right?
create like a
Yeah.
little. You just need like a slight roof over that wood. Like
But don't
the ends
worry,
can get wet, but
he's going to get his from that wood here in a minute.
yep. I love this prayer scene because Thomason
Oh
overhears his
yeah,
prayer to God, and it is not. He has gone beyond just calm, focused panic to
yeah,
just you know what, God, here, let me eat the dirt just to
yeah,
show you how willing I am to
yeah.
to lie prone before thee.
My pride. It is my pride. Well, I mean, sure.
Admitting your problem is an early step,
That's
and that's
that's a
step
good
one.
step.
Yeah.
But like a day ago when you were like, I don't know, we can, I don't know, maybe sell some of the corn so we can go back because we can't go empty-handed. We can't go back looking like we failed out there.
Yeah.
That's maybe, I don't know, grab your kids, ditch the goat,
Uh-huh.
start
Hey.
anew, I don't know, something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, we actually need help.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Turns out we can't do it on our own.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe what if we just make a encampment like right outside the plantation? We don't even have to rejoin
Yeah.
like a trial period.
Yeah.
But just close enough that if our children mysteriously go missing, we can round up a search party and not
Right?
do it all alone.
Yeah.
Or if we are going hungry, we can work and hopefully earn some food from people. We can offer
We can
some.
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
someone babysit our terrible twins so that they don't
God,
commune with the very handsome goat.
they know a lot of really great nursery rhymes.
They're gonna be incredible singers when they get older.
Yeah, that's it.
Um, or an incredible cottage pie. Who knows what they'll
Yeah.
become?
Something.
So now we're gonna have a couple of pretty incredible scenes that are
Oh
kind
my
of
God.
running simultaneously. First, let's talk about Catherine's vision.
Oh,
Mhm.
absolutely. Well, like as soon as you know it's a dream, the second you see the silver cup,
Yes.
and you know for sure it's a dream when that baby is wrapped in a red cloak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Caleb and Samuel have returned to her. And Caleb is saying, we would see you oft, mother. Would that please you? Oh, I've brought you a book you should read, mother. That's my favorite. Like, I brought you
Look
a
at the
book.
Look at the book.
Mhm.
No, I can't look at the book. The baby is hungry. And the baby is a bird.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. There's a big ass crow.
Yep. Just pecking away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this, oh God, she's just like laughing. She's having a time. She's having the best day of her life.
The bit about it that freaks me out the most is when she wakes up the next morning and she seems perfectly fine, and then the camera
Yeah.
pans back and you just see blood all over her sheets.
Yeah.
It's very effective because she doesn't even seem to notice that.
Uh-huh.
Like that would hurt the next day.
Yeah.
And this is a historical thing. The witch's nipple is a thing of like
Mm.
bleeding out the nipple because you've supposedly given suck to ravens is historically accurate. I'm putting quotes around
Yeah,
that.
yeah. To the folklore, yeah.
Historic
Yeah.
precedents. Let's say that.
Yeah. So William then in the morning finds that, oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. I know. Yeah.
There's a moment in the goat barn that's been
Barbara
sealed
runs
up.
away. Barbara's like, I'm fucking out. The normal goat's like, want no part of this.
Well, yeah, but there is a scene like late at night before the barn is destroyed, but or I guess this is the moment when it is destroyed, but the two kids see the
Yeah.
witch feasting on Barbara, the white
Yes.
goat, like feasting from the side, like chewing and drinking her blood.
Yeah.
from
I
the
Yeah.
guess
side.
she was drinking the, like the
Yeah.
teat blood. I don't know. We have a lot of teats going on in this scene.
A
So
lot of
many
teats. It's a
teats, yeah.
teat heavy film.
It's a teat heavy third act. All right.
Yeah.
And when that witch turns around, she does full straight up witch cackle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Straight
Your
from
classic
Halloween
cackle.
audio
Yeah.
CD. Yeah. Halloween
Uh-huh.
sound effects.
And that's the
And-
last we see of the twins, which I kind of love. Just like, yeah, fuck those kids.
Fuck those kids.
Like, we don't really know what happens because we don't see their bodies. We see
No.
other dead goat bodies, but not the kids.
No. In the morning when William gets up, that goat stable is destroyed. The goats are all eviscerated. Like they're in half. Just exploded is what's
Mhm.
happened here.
Exploded. Your favorite.
And the twins are missing, and Thomason is just coming to with like blood literally on her hands.
Mhm.
And he looks like he's about to set at her
Yeah.
to be like, you did
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
But Black Phillip shows up and just gores the shit out of him
Oh my God.
right into the woodpile.
Right into
Yeah.
the woodpile.
If
Oh,
you
that
will let your devil goat keep his big long horns without filing those bad boys down, then you are risking a goring.
Mhm.
Right? Goat maintenance.
Goat
Demonic goat maintenance. Get into it. And of course, who should see the dead dad? But
Catherine
over the top mom.
Oh my
There's-
God.
I love this moment because you have this moment where she sees it and she puts it all together and blames Thomason. Not unnaturally, I think.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
not fair on Thomason, who did not do any of it. But and she comes at her and tries to strangle her, and Thomason picks up a blade, some sort of saw, off the ground and defends herself fatally. And then after she's killed her mother and she just hugs her, she just lies there for like quite a long time, just like hugging her really close. And it's genuinely tragic. Like, I think for me, that's the most tragic moment in the whole film, is just that her like sobbing and like she's not sobbing. She's just kind of lying there, but holding her mother's body close after murdering her. It's beautiful. I mean, it's disturbing.
Mhm.
But it's
Very
like Greek tragic in a way of
Yeah.
like, what was she
Yeah.
supposed to do? Let
Yeah,
her
that-
mother strangle her to death?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
honor thy mother and father as they strangle you to death?
Yeah.
Because
Even
that's
if
the
you are-
biblical precedent, you know?
Yeah.
If God says kill your only son, then you say, yeah, please, let's do it.
the shot of her thrusting her thumbs into Anya Taylor-Joy's
Yeah.
neck, they're deep in there. I was
Yeah.
really kind of wondering if they accentuated this with CGI, because I'm like, wow, she's
Mhm.
really digging in. Like that looks like a choking. And
Mhm.
so when she takes that look this up, that blade is called a bill hook. It's
Mhm.
used for clearing brush, so it's kind of got like a little curved tip at the
Oh,
end.
yes.
So she starts by hitting her mom with it, which cuts her face pretty bad.
Yeah.
And when her mom realizes what just happened, she digs harder into
Yeah.
the choking, and that's when she has to just hack away at her face till mom is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. See, so I do think this is like Greek tragedy, and I also think there's an awareness on Thomason's part to be like, I get why you're like this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I get what led to the point, why you're being this way. And I can't fully to disconnect your behavior from my love for you or my understanding of who you are.
Yeah. I can't fix this in a way that saves us,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is, I think, also where we get the second theme that could have been its own, the whole movie could have centered much more strongly about, which is the question of if you conceptualize laws and social mores as the trade, like you get to live in a society if you abide by these rules and you get to benefit from what that society offers. But if you are not benefiting from that society, then why should you follow its rules? And this moment where she makes the decision, well, I mean, she doesn't really have many options left available to her, but the way she embraces that decision, and the first thing she does after she stands up after killing her mother is she takes off her corset, which is like this beautiful bit of symbolism of throwing off the constraints of this this social group that's done nothing for her. And again, similar with the masculinity stuff, I wish that had been a stronger theme throughout. It just feels like the film was trying to juggle 3 or 4 things, and I would love it to have just held one really clearly. But it is still a great moment where she just walks and the first thing she does is unlace that corset. Yeah, because it also makes you think about, and the fact that I was talking to Jamie as we watched it, we recently watched all of We Are Lady Parts, which is great. If you haven't seen it, I don't know what it airs on in the US, but it's a Channel 4 sitcom about a punk rock band made up of young Muslim women.
Okay.
And they all wear various, one of them doesn't wear any kind of headscarf, so the other 3 all wear something. And the drummer just keeps her hair covered all of the time, completely. And then when you see her when the band's alone, she takes off her headscarf and she has this amazing shock of hair. And seeing Kate Dickie in this final moment reminded me of that, because she's been wearing this bonnet the entire time, even though she's only around her family. She keeps her hair covered the entire time, and it's not until the very end that we see it out and loose and falling down her back, which really leans heavily on this idea of propriety, even when you are alone, even when there is no one that you're not related to around, keeping up to these strict rules for no other reason than that you believe you are supposed to. And then Thomasin making the choice that she can let go of all of that now because she's not going to belong to the society anymore.
Yeah. For those interested, We Are Lady Parts is streaming on Peacock here in the United States, but you could also buy it on Apple if you wanted, or
it
Amazon.
Rips, and you should. It's very good.
So Thomasin, that night goes to visit Black Phillip and says, listen, talk to me, dude. Like,
hey, Ouija board.
Yeah, I conjure thee to speak to me as thou dost to Jonas and Mercy. And I did not know that that's where this line comes from.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
Mm-hmm.
Just
Wouldst
the
thou
best
like to try the taste of butter?
A pretty dress. Wouldst thou like to see the world? What dost thou want? Oh, and it's so ASMR too.
Yeah.
It's very ASMR.
I want this man to read. What's his name? Daniel Malik. I want him to read bedtime stories to me.
Horrifying bedtime stories. It's also like you see the goat change into it's like a goat hoof into the black boots around the book. It's also, it's like, this is the only time I'm going to say this, but this is where making darker films, as we have a tendency to do, actually aids this.
Yes.
Because it is so dark that you're just catching like little wisps. Like you can barely see the boots. You can barely see the touch of the glove on her shoulder or the face behind her.
Yeah.
But it's enough.
It's funny because we don't see him fully at any point, but there is a thing based off of what little glimpses of that he has that he strikes me as like my immediate thought was like, this is a very handsome man.
Yeah. Very handsome, very worldly. I mean, it's the, he's wearing rich boots.
Yep.
You'd expect Lucifer to wear no less.
Yeah.
And then Yeah, he says, there's I brought you a book. You just have to sign your name in the book. And she's like, I don't know how to do that. And he's like, I'll help you.
Yeah.
It's
The intention.
it makes me think of like all of the times wherein you have to sign a document through a bank or through a
Yeah.
just whatever online, or your tax person is like, just sign here, here, here. What does all of this say? It just says that you'll do the thing and it'll be fine. I'm like,
Standard.
are you
Standard
sure?
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay. All right, I'll
It
sign
just
it.
says you can never sue Disney, even if
Yeah.
they kill your
Yes.
wife.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's right.
Do you think Devil has like an Instadoc? Just like you just sign your name once and he just inserts it into his Faustian
e-sign.
compact.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So she strips down and walks naked as a witch across the field and into the woods, and there she finds Witch's Sabbath. Fuck
Sisterhood.
yeah.
Mhm.
I
And
didn't know that was
immediately
tonight.
Just flies. This time we timed it so well.
Every other Tuesday, 7:30, out in the woods. We do Sabbath.
Bring a crock pot. Bring a crock pot dish. Preferably a baby pesto.
And the witches start to levitate above the fire, cackling and laughing and dancing and rising up above the fire. And Thomason realizes she is ascending too. And she
Yeah.
laughs and laughs. The end.
Good for her.
I want to make a quick note because I said that I had not seen this movie that came out in 2015, 2016. So I didn't know anything about this movie. I don't know what's going to happen in this movie. I don't know how the movie ends. I don't know anything. On Friday night of this week, so we're recording this on a Monday. Watched this movie yesterday. Friday night, I'm watching a documentary film that just came out called Look Into My Eyes, which is a documentary about fortune tellers in New York City, which is a really fascinating thing. But there's a moment where this guy is talking, one of the fortune tellers is being interviewed, and he was talking about belief and talking about what you believe in and how you tell stories. And he's like, I sometimes feel like the girl and the witch, like, you just make the choice to, like, you abandon the family and you join the coven, even though it's not, in the end when she joins the coven. He was like, even though you're uncertain what the future is going to be, I'm like, well,
Oh no.
okay, well, I know
Yes, I
that
know how
now.
that is now.
The day before you watch the film for the first time.
2
Spoiled.
days. I just missed it by 48 hours. I'm like, I could have seen this stupid documentary next week. It's a good documentary. Shall we rate this film?
Yes, let's.
Okay, well, I'll start with approachability. If you're horror averse, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least approachable and 10 being super approachable, like, I would give, like, this one's kind of tough. I feel like I want to rate it high, more approachable because it's art house horror. It's like it's literary think PC horror, but I don't know. It's dealing with some pretty hard stuff, and there's some real gross moments, especially baby pesto and eviscerated dog and goats. So I don't know. Let's just say 5 silver cups out of 10. Just cut the difference. I mean, it's art house horror. It's not jump scary, but like uh, it's it's hard. Like the child abuse that's happening in this movie. I mean, I know it's different time, wrong then, wrong now. But we're dealing with like graphic infant sacrifice, graphic animal death, blood and gore, and then just like the way in which this family falls apart it's harrowing. I would say this movie, more than scary, it's harrowing. It's gut wrenching. So yeah, so for that, I don't know, just split the difference. Say 5 out of 10. If you feel like you can handle art house horror and a little bit of gore and some literary spookiness, I think you'll be fine. Cecil, what about you, just as a horror film, speaking nothing of approachability? How do you rate this movie?
As a horror film, it's an interesting one because I don't find this movie very scary.
No.
Like, I find it more haunting, and like the social implications and the religious implications of the United States' founding parentage is a little the most terrifying thing about this movie, but it's not really scary. So
No.
a horror movie that's not scary, what do I do? I do think it's a beautifully made film. It's and I think this is kind of one of the films that's responsible for the sort of renaissance of horror, the taking horror films being looked at, the genre being looked at in a different way. So it's like -1 +1. I'm gonna say 8 out of 10.
Mhm.
Children tied to a fence.
Yeah. Janina, do you have anything you would like to rate this movie on? Just quality, approachability, or maybe like how fun it makes England look? Any
I'm
rating?
gonna do something maybe a little bit harsh, considering that I do quite like this film, which is I'm gonna rate it on "You don't make art in a vacuum,"
Mhm.
because I feel like the way that it approaches this topic in a vacuum, I just really enjoy it. I think it's a good movie, but in a world where we are talking about a witch trials that famously there were no witches, and that we do in society over and over again and find there are no witches,
Uh-huh.
and yet in culture, almost everyone approaches with the tactic of, but what if there were? And not, and there's a sort of not an absence, but an underexplored territory of just like, what makes us do this? What makes us get so paranoid that we
Uh-huh.
think our own daughters are witches, which I think is a more interesting topic.
Mhm.
So I'm just gonna give it 3 out of 10 handsome goats on "You don't make art in a vacuum," which I'm not sure if that makes sense, but
I think
it's how I feel.
Yeah.
I think I grokked that. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's figure out what movie we are going to watch next. Cecil has a scare die. I have a style die. We'll roll those up and see what movie matches those two things. So, Cecil, on your scare die, if you roll a 1, our scare is altered states. 2, it's technology is the scare. 3, a psycho killer. 4, Mother Earth is the scare. 5, a conspiracy. Or 6, aliens. What you got, Cecil?
That's a 6.
Aliens. All
Cue
right,
the
great.
X-Files theme. Here
Oh
we go.
God, finally we're gonna get Alien 3 for this podcast. Okay, we're gonna match Aliens up to the style that I roll. If I roll a 1, it's gotta be a Japanese film. 2, it's gotta have a 3-word title. If I roll a 3, it's wild card, whatever alien movie we want. 4, WTF, just what the fuck movie did I just watch? 5, 1960s film. Or 6, an urban film, something takes place in a big city. So let's see what we got here. I got a 4. What the fuck, aliens?
Oh, this will
What
be
the
fun.
what the fuck,
What the fuck,
aliens?
aliens?
What the fuck did I just watch? So we wrote down a few that would fit this mold, and we also have a Letterboxd account where Random Horror 9 on Letterboxd, where we keep lists of all of the die roll possibilities, and we update those as we change them. And so you can follow us on Letterboxd and add into the comments what movies you think would match the possible rolls. So we'll check our list and then we'll check Letterboxd. This is the Event Horizon memorial list, the
It's
most
Yes.
what the fuck
extremely
alien.
what the fuck aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, you got a lot to live up to compared to Event Horizon.
So let me go over the ones that I put on this list, and then we'll get into Letterboxd. And Janina, if you have a few that you're thinking of as well, please chime in. But listen, Bad Taste, Peter Jackson. Bad Taste is Aliens. What the fuck?
Can't think of a more like that's tough to think of a less what the fuck film. More what the fuck film.
Yep. Slither is a more recent, like kind of gross horror
It's like horror
comedy.
comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Under the Skin. Scarlett
favorite
Johansson goes to
movie.
Glasgow.
Oh yeah.
I would like to revisit this film because I remember not liking it when I saw it, but I would like to maybe revisit it with more of
It's a mood.
horror eye.
It is definitely a mood.
It is a mood.
I like films that remember that Scarlett Johansson is a little weirder than people give her credit for.
Oh,
Like,
for
people
sure.
get distracted by the fact that she's ridiculously beautiful, but she's a little freak as well, and this film
Yeah.
remembers that.
Yeah.
It's also like half of it's improv as well. Which
Yeah.
that's like a really tough thing for an actor to do. So
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great in it. She's really good.
I haven't seen this movie, but there is some alien sequence in VHS 2.
My
apparently.
favorite of the series. I love VHS too.
Okay.
They
That I
they
hear
dip
that a
off.
lot
They
from
dip
people.
off pretty quickly after that.
Okay.
VHS2 is like all of the segments are tops on that one.
Color Out of Space. Here's another Nicolas Cage horror film from recent years. This is Lovecraftian.
I've not
Uh,
seen this.
I have not seen this either. It comes up a lot on our Patreon and lists that we do on
Yeah.
Letterboxd. I think it is somewhat of a fan favorite.
It's like, hey, you like Mandy?
Yeah.
Watch Color Out of Space.
I mean, I don't mind Lovecraft when somebody else writes it. Um, because
Sure.
I think he had some
Yeah.
fun ideas. I just don't think he was much of a writer. So it's kind of interesting to see different people's takes on his.
Lovecraftian themes, yes.
Yes. Lovecraft is a kind of had a heavy pencil, that guy.
Yeah.
Apollo 18 is another crazy shit happening
Yeah, I've
on a
never seen
moon.
this
And
one.
either.
It's like, let's explore the moon. Oh no. There's moon aliens. Found footage, which might be kind of interesting, you know.
Yep. And then one that I rewatched recently with our pal Dan McCoy at Nighthawk in Park Slope. We watched Phantasm, which
I
is
have
one
never
of the most what the fuck films you will ever
I've never
watch.
seen this movie all the way through.
The every part of it is a what the fuck, like from the early, very stiff, like 1979-ishness of this thing. The creator, I'm blanking on his name. Uh, it very much feels like an independent production because he just had full control over everything. He made a series of these Phantasm movies. He is building a lore that
Love it.
is not easy to process, but once you
Okay.
kind of get it, you're like, all right, I love this. What the fuck? So
Non-traditional.
non-traditional, but he's got some really, really cool scares. He developed some really cool shit. So that's it for our list. But Cecil, what did the Alien WTF folks on Letterbox have to say?
We have quite a few of these, so I'm going to blaze through these a little quick. Suspicious Beings recommends Vivarium from 2019, which is one that I've also not seen, but I've been really curious about. And also Life Force from 1985, which I have seen. Life Force is fucking dope. Toby Hooper's Space Vampires. Absolutely. That's a great recommendation. Ace Diamond recommends the Macpherson tape, aka UFO abduction from 1989. Found footage, looks pretty UFO abduction-y. And Slither, which we put on there. B-Hawk Blades recommends, oh god, this title, Don't Fuck in the Woods,
Okay.
2016. And they say, or the sequel, which is even better. The title gives you all you need to know. Thank you, B-Hawk Blades. That is chef's kiss to that recommendation. I've not seen Don't Fuck in the Woods or its sequel, but I love it. My Cat Loves Horror recommends The Fourth Kind, which is, a psychologist maybe on the verge of blowing an unsolved case wide open, very alien abduction. I remember when this came out, people were like, there's apparently like a very shocking scene in this film. And I remember it was kind of a hot topic for a bit. Haiti Murmur recommends Meatball Machine from 2005. Aliens attempt to take over Earth by turning people into mech hybrids in the most ridiculous and gory way possible.
Okay, I like that.
Aldrich von Fausto, +1 for Color of Space and Vivarium. Squirrel Girl, +1 for Life Force. Listen, Life Force is a trip, y'all. MD Cost recommends The Dunwich Horror, another 1970. I love this film. This is kind of like one of the films that I was like, what is this 1970s hot mess of a film? Very Lovecraftian, alien, eldritch abomination. Non-binary, +1 for The Blob. We didn't put The Blob on here.
Oh,
that's
of
definitely
course.
what the fuck, and definitely
I
alien.
haven't seen the 88 version. The 50s version I've seen, or 60s whenever it came out. I've seen that one.
Yeah.
So I wonder if the 80s version must be much more what the fuck, because that's the one that people are like, it's actually better than the original.
It's also like the 80s is like more is more.
Yeah.
And you clearly want more of The Blob if you're doing The Blob.
Yep.
Dick Coyote recommends The Fourth Kind as well. Katie recommends Slither. The Drowned Fool. Y'all.
Okay. All right.
Llamageddon. Llamageddon. Killer llama from outer space crash lands on Earth and brings death and destruction to everyone in its path. It's really wild, not very good, but a very fun watch.
Okay.
I love how you all are honest. You're like, yo,
I
this movie is kind of crap, but a lot of fun.
I don't think I don't
Honestly.
think they needed to tell us that a movie called Lamageddon was wild and not very good and fun to watch. I think I gleaned all of that from the title.
I mean, how many Golden Globes did it win? Uh, let's see. L Paradise recommends Deadly Spawn from 1983. Some great practical effects, very
Uh-huh.
fun. Little Uggy recommends the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Of course, yeah. I don't know how I missed
The
that.
sort of, great grandparent of what the fuck alien movies. Ghostlight AK recommends Fried Berry. This is one like a title that's I've heard before, but I don't know anything about this. 2020 South African film about a junkie who is abducted by aliens and used for a sex and drug-filled joyride around Cape Town. WTF barely begins to cover it.
Okay.
Indeed.
That's a good sales point.
Vampire Coolio recommends a alien vampire movie in Dracula 3000.
Oh, yeah.
Dracula in space. Pretty much, oh my God, this is a great description. Dracula in space with what looks like a budget of $50, which was all spent on hiring Coolio.
I like
Little Uggy asked
Wait,
if
can I
done
just
the...
say Vampire Coolio's last line on Letterboxd
Oh, yes,
comment
please,
says,
please.
"You don't watch Dracula 3000 to watch a movie. You watch Dracula 3000 to watch other people watch Dracula 3000."
I mean, that's the definition of a cult WTF film, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Of
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
this tastes terrible. Here, try this.
Yep.
Now so I can watch your face. Little Uggy asked, have we done The Thing? We did The Thing for Patreon, if I remember right.
I believe you're right. Yeah.
Only
Yep.
$5 to join, and you get back access to all those catalogs. Andrew recommends Teenagers from Outer Space, 1959, schlocky sci-fi film about what happens when hunky, murderous teenage aliens land in an all-American town and zap a bunch of locals with ray guns. Very bad creature effects. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And one of the aliens is named Derek.
Okay, great.
An
That is a
alien
great name for an alien.
named Derek. Let's see. Kevin, +1's Color Out of Space. And Laughing Academy, +1's Life Force. Yeah. Space vampires.
Great. There was just
co-written by Daniel O'Banion of Alien and directed by Toby Hooper.
Oh, okay.
She said, Laughing Academy says it's not good, but it is awesome. And I think that's a very apt description for that film.
The only other ones that I'll mention that were up at the top of the comments, it's like 2 pages of comments, so we won't get to all of these. But Mars Kelly mentions The Void and Psycho Gorman. I don't know if we got to those yet. You probably did. We just had so many. And then Den Dweller gives us Brain Damage. Everyman Brian develops a codependent relationship with a wildly phallic alien parasite.
I actually had Brain Damage on another grid on.
Okay.
So it's still on there. Brain Damage is still on the table.
Okay. And then we have Ms. Face says Honeymoon 2014, a honeymooning bride. Rose Leslie goes sleepwalking into the woods surrounding a secluded cabin. When she returns, she looks the same, but something about her is frighteningly different.
Uh-oh.
I bet she's an alien now.
Did she get a haircut?
Yep, that's right.
But like
she
really
just has a
subtle
glow
haircut?
about her because she loves the outdoors.
She just got a blowout,
And finally, I wanted to say Seer of Defuk says Jason X, Jason in Outer Space.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That was the one I wanted to make sure we didn't miss out on.
You can't miss that one.
No. Holy cow, there's so many of these.
Yeah.
I will say that like I'm really excited about rewatching Under the Skin. I'm really excited about Phantasm. Really excited about Bad Taste. And also kind of Jason X sounds really fucking wild. Fried Berry sounds really interesting too. So anyways, that's where some of my mind was going. What about you, Cecil?
Thank you for reminding me of Life Force. God, that movie is a wild trip.
Okay.
I love that movie. I mean, Rocky Horror?
Oh, sure.
WTF Aliens?
Yeah.
But I think like when I think WTF Aliens, it's like Phantasm and Bad Taste, I think are like the 2 front runners.
Mm-hmm.
Just in like the first things that pop into my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, Life Force. Dunwich Horror sounds that's a classic I haven't seen before.
It's a little more like chanty culty and a little less alien-y, but it's
Okay,
it's it's
okay.
all up in there,
Yeah, because it's
you
Lovecraft,
know.
yeah, alien sort of thing. And then of course Dracula 3000 sounds absolutely wild as well.
Again, you don't watch Dracula 3000.
Yeah.
You watch people watching Dracula 3000.
Um
Hurt people. Oh, and the
uh
Blob. Oh my God, how can we forget
oh
about
yeah,
the
on the
Blob?
Blob too. Janina, what's standing out to you on that list that
Oh,
you're like, I really want to watch these boys watch Dracula 3000, or do you
well,
want
um I feel like the only ones that I've actually watched are the less WTF. I mean, Under the Skin is pretty WTF, but in a different way than maybe a Dracula 3000 is.
uh-huh.
So it depends on what you're
It's
going
on
for.
smart WTF, not dumb
Mhm,
WTF.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 But yeah, I guess that's your. Are you going for that version of
Mhm.
WTF, or are you going for the other one?
It's a good
So I'm no
question.
help.
No. Um, what have you seen on this that do you think is like worth a conversation? Like you've seen Under the Skin.
I think Under the Skin is definitely worth a conversation. I think the only other one I've seen, I mean, Rocky Horror, I think
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily, you don't need to say a lot about Rocky Horror. It just rules. It just rips and is a
Yeah.
great time.
Yeah.
Um, and the only other one I've seen, I think, is The Thing, which you've done already.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm kind of like dreading a Rocky Horror episode, not because I don't want to watch the film or talk about the
So
film.
it's like, what are we going to add to
There's
this?
so little to add to that
Yeah,
movie.
that has not been said.
And it would be more exciting if I like had never seen the movie.
Yeah.
But of course, I've like seen the movie several times and have been to the theater and
And I also feel
whatever.
like it would be like an exciting episode if like we went to a live shadow cast.
Yeah.
Like that would just be like the next
Mm.
level of podcast.
Take the hugest fans in the world and then watch the movie with them, and then live after just kind of like nitpick and criticize it.
Absolutely. Find all
You
the
know, it
continuity
doesn't
errors.
make a whole lot of sense how.
Well, if you want to choose the way you die, then getting murdered by a crowd of Rocky Horror fans is,
Yeah, that's
it's not
it.
bad. It's
That'd be
worse,
pretty
worse
fun.
ways to go.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't know. Where are you leaning, Cecil? Where are you at now after having
Well,
this?
after the respectability of the Vivitch,
Uh-huh.
I think we should respect the WTF-ness of the role.
Yes.
Like I like Under the Skin. It's great, but it's another like, oh, this is gonna be a heavy one.
Yeah.
And we've got some like, it's been a minute since we've done camp, like a campy, like a truly campy pick,
Uh-huh.
I feel.
Yeah,
I
so something
do you
like
think
bad taste or Phantasm. Like Bad Taste
But
is
here's
going for the
like this is the
gross
thing.
out.
I'm also like, I've never seen Phantasm front to back. Like I've seen the same middle 20 minutes of it on TBS or USA cable when I was like 16.
Uh-huh.
So like I've never seen the WTF parts. I've only seen the exposition.
Okay. I think it's, having just recently watched this, I'm really excited to rewatch it because I want your thoughts on it. And I think it's a crazy WTF sort of movie.
I think that's the move.
Yeah, let's just double check and make sure it is running. I had an absolute, maybe if I learned
It's
how
such a
to
classic.
spell.
Like I feel like this is like, you know, not quite horror homework, but it's a staple, you know?
Yes. Yeah. God bless the tall man and his crazy silver flying balls. And yeah. All you fans of long
did
legs.
you read my Grindr profile?
All you fans of long legs, let me show you what real silver balls can do.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that's the move.
Okay, let's do Phantasm then. I am so thrilled. Okay, we're great. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Cecil, for talking with me, and thank you, Janina Matthewson, for coming back to talk with us. That was so fun. Janina, where can people find you and your work in this world?
You can find me on several of the internets under J9 and F. Mostly probably Blue Sky and Instagram at this point in time. And you can buy my books. I just have a new one just out in the UK and various other places, called The Horses. And that's it. That's all I've got.
If y'all have thoughts on The Witch or ideas for other movies that would have been good, Aliens meets WTF, it seems like there are a lot. Let us know on Instagram at randomhorror9 or on our Patreon, where we have public discussion threads for each and every episode, and you do not need to be a paying member to participate in those. So watch Phantasm from 1979 with us this week, and come on back next Tuesday for a new episode. Have a restful night with no shithead twins ratting you out or nothing.